Welcome guys to another unboxing video hosted by myself, Chris Payton, and sponsored by Infinity Flux, Cards, Games, and Comics here in Chattanooga. If you've never been there, please go by and check it out on Hicks and Pike, if you know where that's at. But today we're doing a pretty big game that I got off a Kickstarter recently called Godtear. It is by Steamforged Games. It is a 2 to 6 player, technically, really 2 player skirmish, like one-on-one game. It's got some really awesome miniatures. It looks really cool. I'm going to show you everything in it. This one's actually going to be 2 separate videos. I'm trying something different here so the videos aren't as long. First one is just going to be the starter kits and all the extra bonus stuff you'll see down here from the Kickstarter. Other than that, that's the first video. The second video will be all of the bonus factions that you can purchase for the game. I will let you know that, unfortunately, if you'll notice, everything here has the plastic taken off, and what it was is I already filmed this once, and unfortunately there was a technical issue and there was no sound. So because I don't have a way to know exactly what I said, I had to film it again now that I have sound. So the only thing you're missing, I put everything back in the boxes as best I could, so the only thing you're really missing is me taking some plastic wrap off the boxes. Other than that, everything is pretty much here as it came in the shipping container that I got it in. So please enjoy. Like I said, we're going to have 2 videos. The first one's going to be the main, the second one's going to be the extras. That way you guys just don't have to sit through a 45-minute video from me. But if you do enjoy these videos, please like, share, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's what you like, what you don't like. I definitely love constructive criticism. And other than that, we will get started. Alright, welcome to the first video in the unboxing of Godtear by Steamforged Games. It is a skirmish game for 2 players. I will be opening up, like I said, the 2 main boxes here, some Kickstarter bonus stuff, and to let you guys see what it is. And like I said before, unfortunately I did already open this once because I did a video, there was no sound, so I'm doing it again. So like this box here actually has like the tokens punched out of it, and I'll show you that, which led me to some minor criticisms of it. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So first things first is the main game, one of the 2 starter kits. So there's 2 different starter sets. So this one here it comes with 2 factions that you can play with. Each one has about 5 to 7 miniatures. You get a board, you get all the dice and tokens, which I'm going to get ready to show you here, so I'm not going to go into deeply. But basically this game is based on the gods died and their powerful shards rain down from the sky, and we're fighting over them to become more powerful. And of course, as we become more powerful, we want even more shards to be even more powerful. So that's what the game is based on. So other than that, let's take a look at the first box. So first thing here, we have the rule book. Oh boy. So this one here, I really like the fact that the rule book, like here if you'll notice, it's based on the 2 factions. At least the artwork is. Once you get inside, it's kind of neat because like here it shows the miniatures from those 2 factions, so you don't have to worry about knowing, like seeing generic pictures that don't help you. And then of course it gives you a little bit of a kind of a guide, a story here. The big picture, which is kind of neat because it kind of just gives you an overview of what you're trying to do and what the champions are. Then it shows here basically how do you prepare a game. Then it shows you what all this stuff is, which I'll kind of tell you here in a second. And then this one here basically just gives you the phases of a turn, shows you how movement and line of sight works, shows you kind of some different actions you can do, and then towards the back you actually have a list of scenarios. So that's kind of, this is like your first player scenario, and then so on and so forth. You got a few other scenarios. And then what's cool is it does have a nice reference guide on the back. Really useful. I've already played the game once. Definitely a very useful guide. Then we've got the board. The board is really neat because not only is it already outlined with the hexes that you're going to use, so it looks really cool, but they're not just lines drawn on there. It's actually done, yes, it still looks kind of artificial, like why would everything be a hex, but at the same time it is done artistically. So this isn't just a black line outlining the hexes. Plus, and then over here you have this is basically your tug of war dial. And then on the other side gives you a second map. So you're getting, let me put this out of the way, I'm gonna lay it flat. So you're getting another kind of desert, almost Mad Max looking type, I guess, map. And see, for example, what I like is even though the hexes are very well defined, it's like it looks like cracked earth instead of just someone just drawing a black line. So just neat that they still did it, and it gives it a little bit less just immersion breaking black line. But that's the board. Then you get, in each box, oh no, you get 3 sheets of cardboard tokens. And these are your health. These like represent damage. You've got, these are your kind of objective ones. And then all these small ones here kind of represent different modifiers. If you look, like there's negative modifiers and positive modifiers that affect you when you play the game. And then like here's your turn tokens and stuff like that. So there's your tokens. Then you get your boards. Now this is pretty neat. So I'm going to open this up. You get 3. So if you want to play a 6-player game, or because the game lets you play with 1 faction each, but you can also play with 3 factions each. So if you're playing with 3 factions each, you're going to need 3 of these boards per player. Now, unfortunately, you only get 1 set of 3 per starter kit, but if you buy the other starter kit, you get a full another set. And what these do, which I guess technically they're not 100% necessary, but what they do is they let you lay your character cards on them. So in the box you get your character cards. So what this does is, I'm not really showing you how to play the game, but I just want to kind of give you an overview of what you're getting. So this is your character. This is your character, which has 2 sides. I'm not going to, basically you'll flip them over during the game because it represents different phases. And this is like extra rules for your character. So it's not like you're, it's basically just so they didn't have to try to cram it in super tiny print on 1 card. And then this is their henchmen. So their henchmen or allies or what do you want to call them, they all represent the same, even though they're different looking, they all represent the same thing. And then here's just where you put like damage tokens and modifiers and stuff like that. So that's kind of how your board's laid out when you're looking at it. And basically each box comes with 2 factions of cards. The cards are there just representative. You don't like shuffle them or actually play them. You just use them to know your rules. Then the next thing is the dice. So you get 10 solid black dice. And so these are blank on 3 sides. So 1, 2, or is it only 2 sides? Excuse me, they're blank on 2 sides because I can't count. Then they have a 1 of this like symbol, the Godtear symbol, on 3 sides, and then on 1 side you have 2. And those are essentially your success fails. So when you roll them, 1, 2 successes, no successes. That's all. And you'll roll your dice and it'll tell you how many dice to roll for this or that. So basic solid dice. I do like the fact that instead of just giving you 6-sided dice and telling you 1s, 2s, and 3s or 1s and 2s don't count, they actually give you special dice. They give you a baggie for, I guess, your tokens to go in there. And now let's look at some miniatures. So first faction we have is Titus. That's this guy. And he is a pretty slick looking dude. They're always your main boss character, your big character, your named one, is going to have a much bigger miniature than his henchman. So now, here's the henchman. Now what's neat is all the henchmen in the game are represented by 1 card. So it means they're all technically the same, but what's really neat about them is that every single one of them has a different sculpt. So the company Steamforged really went all out. All of these are different sculpts, even though they represent the same model. So it doesn't get boring looking at just, that you have him and 5 of these. It's actually all different, even though they represent the same thing. Then you have a flag token, and this is represents your ability to like stake a claim on the board. And each one is different for each faction, or it looks different. So they're pretty cool. So that's faction number 1. And Hopefully you don't hear my dog eating something. I don't know what it is, but so here's the next faction. This one is called Finvar, very elven looking. So that one is definitely a very blue long sword. And so I'm assuming her henchmen are going to be tougher or more powerful because, for example, she only gets 3. Or he, I can't tell if it's a he or a she. It's a elf. And then so this is their kind of flag. Even though it doesn't look like a flag, it's actually a sword with a snake around it. It looks pretty cool. But there's that one. And then I'm going to just toss these back in here. And on to the next box. So for box number 2, this one I did open, so or I did play with to test out the game because we thought we'd had a good video. So this one here, I'm just going to show you. Here's the board. It's neat. It's still double-sided. But what's interesting is this one is like very earthy, very grass, flowers. Pretty neat. I'll kind of give a pan over of that before we go on. But the other side is the same side as the other one. They really like this desert side apparently. So if you'll notice, you've already seen the same side. So there's that board. Then, like I said, another set of these cards. So you've got your little guides for holding your character cards and henchman cards. So you get 3 more of these. So, and then you get another rule book, obviously. Now this one, if you'll notice, the artwork on it represents the 2 factions that are in here. When you look at it, it gives you, like the pictures are with the figures for this one. Outside of that, it's the exact same rule book, which is really nice because if you and a friend buy this game, you both have you each buy a starter kit. Not only do you have a couple of factions to play with each, but you also have each a rule book without having to share back and forth over and over and over again because they only give you one. So that I really do like. Obviously your cards, like I said, your dice. So here's the only complaint, and I know this is an unboxing video, but since I can do this, I'm going to mention it, is the tokens. So if you look in this box here, if you want to keep everything like it is in the box, here's all your tokens for the hexagon shaped ones, okay? Then I've got the loose tokens that were all like the damage and all that. They won't even fit in there. Here's a baggie with the rest of the tokens. So one of the issues I have is like, even with this baggie, I have nowhere to put it in this box. So I've got a spot for my dice, I've got a spot for these. I don't really have a spot for those at all. There's just nowhere to put it. I mean, I guess you could lift up the tray and stick them underneath, but that seems kind of ridiculous. I just felt like that was a very missed opportunity for something that everything else has been produced so well. Is that you think they would have given you, sure, the baggie for them, but just somewhere like an empty spot somewhere to just stick them. But that's a minor complaint. Because I'm probably going to reduce this to like 1 box later anyways. But here is the first. Let me grab my cards here. So we've got Morrigan, which apparently is a female lich, but it's dead. And Naya, which is kind of an earth golem summoning character. So here is Morrigan, the witch, or the lich, excuse me. So again, I really like the fact that they went all out on making sure there isn't a single miniature in this that looks exactly like another miniature in this. So here is that. And then I'm going to just pop out these henchmen here, let you take a look at them. And then your little guy to put on your little marker right there. Kind of looks like some kind of stone. But that is Morrigan. Obviously, Razor of the Dead, so skeleton henchman. Then next. Now, mind you, this is just the starter kits. So you've already got 4 different factions in the starter kit. You've got 4 different factions in the starter kit if you buy the 2 different starter kits. So you already have a bunch of miniatures to play with. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy the other expansions. I definitely bought all of the different factions because, like I said, you can play with 3 on each side. So I just want to mention again that they're giving you a lot in these starter kits. And I think with the 11 extra factions, you've got so much replayability in the game. And yet still, even then, with 11 more factions, so that means you have a total of 15 factions. Not a single miniature that I can find so far has been actually just a reprint of another miniature in this game. So here's the next faction, as back to the, off my side, is Naya. It's kind of nature, like, I mean, it's literally, she's like, deals with crystals and geodes and golems, and so here's her. Then her golem henchmen, which they actually do look similar, but they're still different enough that that they're not exactly the same. Even if they would look really close, they're still posed differently. You know, and then she's got what's really cool. I think it's cool that it looks like a big piece of amethyst or a geode. And so her guys are pretty tough, I'll tell you. And so you notice she gets a lot less of them. For example, Morrigan gets 5, she gets 3, kind of like the other starter kit. But hers are pretty tough. And so that's going to be it for that box. And now on to the extra stuff. So first things first. Here is the Godtear limited edition Broken Plains neoprene mat. So what's cool about it, it's neoprene, so it's nice and clothy, stays flat real easy, except this is now the 3rd desert map that we've got. So I will say, maybe a little disappointed that there wasn't more maps. Maybe they will have some more in the future, because I think it's kind of crazy that they've got, like, you know, 15 different factions, all this really awesome artwork, 3 maps. You know, but it is a really nice neoprene mat, so you can roll it up, take it with you, bring it to your local game store, and play without having to lug around multiple big boxes. Like I said, you could probably bring all these miniatures in like one box and then just have this rolled up in like a tube, like you would a Magic mat if you know Magic the Gathering. So that's this one. Then next we've got, because apparently there's not enough dice, 20 dice isn't enough, it's actually plenty. But I went ahead and picked these up anyways. I thought they looked cool. They're the same dice as in the game, they're just clear. You know, so I like them. It's just a nice little extra, you know, throw them all together. But you get 10 of those. Then here, so that the reason that the ring bases are nice is it is an extra one that you'd have to buy. But what I like about it is that since there's 2 sets, what it gives you is the ability, if you're playing 3 factions and your opponent's playing 3 factions, there's only so many colors. The figures come out of either blue, red, green, or yellow. So there's only 4 different colors. So that means that each of you is going to end up with a faction that is the same color as your opponent's faction. And when you've got 15, 20 miniatures on the board, sometimes you could mix up which one's which on who it belongs to, and you end up, you know, moving the wrong piece. You might not notice for a couple of turns. It's really frustrating trying to go back because you accidentally grabbed the wrong piece. So here, you buy this, which again, I think the store still has a few copies of the game, so you'll get this with it anyways, but it lets you ring base all of yours for your side, either black or white, and the opposite for your opponent, so that way there's less chance of confusion. Now, here's the next thing, and this was pretty much the last thing for this part of the video, and I did put it all back in one baggie, but this is a kind of a campaign bonus. So you get, in here, you're going to get a map of the Godtear lands. Oh, first off, just cool piece of artwork. You know, big monster, little guy, probably not going to end well for him. Then on the other side is a map of the lands. So you've got the Stonekin Isles, Blasted Expanse, Allied Kingdom. So I'm hoping that with all of this, they definitely have some more maps coming out soon, because I can see Broken Plains, which is one of our maps, and I'm assuming the Eternal Glade is one of them. And possibly the other one I might say would be the Haunted Realm, which makes sense because the game comes with an elf faction, an undead faction for the starter kits, and I guess the Broken Plains is just kind of their, I'm going to come gather them one. So it'll be cool to see if they come up with some other maps for it. But also, you get a book here. This is a campaign book. So this is one for actually multiple players. So it doesn't have to just be like one-on-one. It can be multiple players. So you're going to get new champion cards that have upgrade paths on them. So what that gives you is an ability to upgrade your characters after games and gain new abilities. So I think that's pretty cool. Then you're actually, I think these are the upgrade paths. Then you get introductory chapter cards and then chapter cards, and what those do is those let you kind of do the campaign, and you get to draw those at random so that you can kind of play a game, find out what you're supposed to do next, play a game, find out what you're supposed to do next, so on and so forth. So that's pretty cool. They actually have a campaign mode in this. But other than that, that is it for the main game and the Kickstarter bonuses. Some of these are going to be, you know, optional buys. Some of them were stretch goals. I don't remember which ones are which. I will say that with this one, it's pretty cool. Other than that, we are done with this one. And like I said, stay tuned for the next video. I'd love you to watch that one too. That's going to give you a look at a lot more miniatures. And also just remember, if you like the video, please share, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Other than that, see you on the next video. Bye.